All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Different day, different time, same people. This is going to be the norm moving forward, though. Big Marley and I talking fights, 9 Eastern on Thursdays most days. Obviously, like the first Thursday for football, we will reschedule. We will do it a different day, but playing on 9 Eastern on Thursdays, and then up until the NFL season, Big Marley and I will be doing best ball draft right after this show. We'll close the stream down, get on the best ball stream, and fire up a drafters draft. So before I even say hi to anybody, that's a perfect segue. Shout out to our sponsor, Drafters. Head over to drafters.com. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100%, $20 to $100. No better spot to draft best ball, $2 contest, $15 contest, $500,000 up top. Trying to make it 3 years in a row for a Ship It Nation member. Again, we'll be going live after this show, doing some best ball. Who do we got in chat today? Nate D's in here. Little Mac. Siggy, what's going on? Miss you, Siggy. Reds, Takedown. Big Marley, how are you doing on this fine Thursday afternoon?
I'm good, man. Just finished the gym and the steam room. So I'm fired up, man. Ready to talk some MMA. Hopefully we got some winners coming to the people. But, yeah, looking forward to shipping it this weekend.
I hit a double steam as well. I'm not feeling the best right now, so I hit it early. And then right before this, too, I got back 25 minutes ago. Nothing better than the steam, so I love to hear that. Little Next talking a little Olympic hoops in Discord. I saw he's on the Summer League grind as well. Little Neck, absolutely grinder in the NBA Discord. So we're talking MLB right now going on, PGA going on, NASCAR, MMA. Don't forget about that NBA channel. Also saw the esports channel. We have esports, we have tennis. We don't provide the offering. It's a Discord channel. It's members run, but a lot of success in those channels. It's like he's helping me do my job. Look at this, Big Marley. Look at this chart. NFL season coming up. Everybody's favorite. Just look right there at the total. NFL package, you see how it's broken down. 4 competitors. Who has an optimizer? Who doesn't? What's the total price? $299 over here at Ship It Nation for the NFL season, Big Marley. And then you see in the bottom left, you not only get that, if you sign up right now, you do get Little Next picks in Discord for Olympic basketball for Summer League. Do get all of our MMA content, ownership, projections, slate plan, tier rankings, PGA Showdown going on, Hoop, Tambo, DJ, nobody better, NASCAR, MLB in full force. So if you sign up for NFL right now, $299, it is $349. NFL 50 drops it down to $299. You do get the Shiptimizer. Only one other site does have an optimizer included. $300, Big Marley. Your times it 3, almost 4 times at some other spots to get an optimizer and the package. We always say pay less for content, play more in contests, try and make more money. I think this graph says all you need to see. And then there's always college football content also free, a part of this package. August 5th is when the Shiptimizer and everything will be going live. Get in, you get all the sports until NFL season kicks off. No better deal in the industry. ShipItNation.com. It's right on the banner, the $299. Click that. It'll get you the best deal. If you go to the Join the Nation, you don't click on the banner, make sure to use that promo code NFL50 to get $50 off to get it down to $299. Sorry about these dogs. If you're at them barking in the background, there is 3 in the house right now. Big Marley, though, fight overview. I mean, we have the Nut DFS card. 14 fights, 2 5-rounders. Obviously, if there were no favorites over 300, maybe it'd be a little better. But let's cross our fingers and keep 14. 2 5-rounders. Man, what a great card. London, the O2 Arena, fans always showing out. Some awesome fights top to bottom. What's your initial thoughts, entertainment-wise, DFS-wise, before we go fight by fight?
Yeah, good card from watching/fan perspective, and great card for DFS. I think that the co-main event will be loaded up with ownership, but aside from that fight, I think it could be pretty spread out. So could be a solo shipper this weekend. Hopefully it's one of us or somebody listening.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely one of the best solo shipper cards if we had to pick. We're getting close to the best DFS seasons. Free money Sunday, baby. No other better day out there. Hope you're doing well, Siggy. All right, let's talk some fights, Big Marley. 14 to talk about. Again, this will be the normal time. Moving forward, ownership projections, everything will be up tomorrow. We have a rough estimate for ownership, though. So on certain fights, I will mention it if I think it's important. But again, ownership, very important in DFS, especially in MMA, a duplicate sport with only so many options. Part of the reason, head over to the Nation, get all of our MMA content. First fight of the night, Big Marley. I wrote this. I followed Tapology on Monday. I wrote this order, so it might be a little different, but hang with me. It should be pretty close. The grossest fight to start it off, I don't even know how it's on this card. Shauna Bannon taking on Elise Ardelene. Bannon, 8,900. Elise, 7,300. Yeah, Bannon at minus 175. Ardelene, plus 150. This fight, plus 130 to finish. Ardelene, the dog, has a better inside the distance prop at plus 280. Bannon, plus 300. I mean, I don't know how you can get a grosser fight to start off, Big Marley, but ownership should be low. Plus 130 isn't crazy to finish, especially like the dog. If you look at the props, the dog having a better finishing odds than the favorite. 7,300 is a good price tag. She's my preferred play, but when you dig into it, I mean, she's a TikTok star, an OnlyFans girl. Like, I don't know if this is someone I really want to be putting my money on either. So how do you see this fight?
Yeah, least favorite fight on the card for every purpose. Bannon is going to be an X out for me. I really have zero interest in Bannon. I think if you're using her, it's just to get different, get somebody who could possibly be single digit ownerships. And then you would probably hope that she wrestles because she doesn't have power, man. She's sloppy on the feet. She's not throwing volume. So the only way she's going to be able to get there is if she does wrestle, lands like 3+ takedowns, has 8 minutes of top control time. And hopefully she's throwing more strikes on the ground than she does on the feet, because that's the only way she's paying off 8,900. But not only does she have to pay off 8,900, she's got to beat a bunch of other favorites too. So I'm just going to X her out. Don't care about the ownership play at all. I do have a little bit of interest in Ardelene. I kind of think that this should be a pick'em fight. I was a little bit more impressed with her on film. I thought her striking was a little bit cleaner. I could maybe see her being higher volume. And then I was most impressed when she hit the mat. She was pretty aggressive with her ground and pound, but she's just never beaten anybody good. I think her wins are against a combined 9 and 15 opponents. So Bannon's not any better. So I feel like she could put up a little bit of the same work, but at 7,300, she just has to do a lot less in order to pay that off. I think if she wins, she'll be flirting with 10X, possibly more. So I'll keep Ardelene in my player pool. I think she's a fine cash game play as well if you're looking for somebody who has a floor who could also win. But yeah, Bannon is my least favorite play on the card. First X out when I get to the Shiptomizer.
Yeah, okay. So you like Arnold Allen. So my thought right now, I have Bannon in the pool. I'll say this. We have her tied for the second lowest owned on the card at 10%, and by far the lowest owned in the top range. My thought process was, I mean, especially like low-level women's MMA, Ardelene's also taking this fight on relatively short notice. Like, there's just so much variance in it. Like, I just think one girl could put up 100+, one girl not even show up, and one get like 4 takedowns, 9 minutes of control time. Do you think that's in play for Bannon or Ardelene, or just one side?
I expect this to be a striking match, to be honest with you. I didn't go back and rewatch much Bannon film. I watched the fight with her in Brazil. I didn't even know this fight was added until like last night or the night before. So I just got to it and I watched the last like 3 or 4 fights for Ardelene. And I was just way more impressed with Ardelene. I mean, nothing impressive really about her on the feet, which I do expect this to be striking versus striking, and neither one of them doing a whole lot. But something like lights a fire under her when she gets in top control. She's trying to finish the fight right away. So that was what I figured gave us the highest ceiling. And at 7,300 to 8,900, I just feel like they should be 8,100 a piece, to be honest with you. If I was lining this fight, it would be a pick 'em fight. And I wouldn't even thought you were crazy for favoring Ardelene here. So I think it's just the late notice. She's never beaten anybody good. That's why she is the underdog. But God, Bannon was so sloppy. Like, she's throwing front kicks and then following with a jab before her foot even hits the ground. Like, I couldn't do it with Bannon. And at 8,900, I laughed when I saw that price. Like, no chance. I'm not going to see her in my lineups.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We spent enough time on that first fight. We both agree dog or pass is more so the play. We'll see if I even have one or two Bannons in 20 and below, but definitely will cap it if I keep her in the pool. Let's get to another fight I'm not very interested in. Mick Parkin, Lucas Bresky, heavyweights on the card. We have Bresky the dog. He is, let me say the favorites thing. Hold on. Minus 340 for Parkin, plus 280 for Bresky, plus 135 for this fight to finish. Parkin plus 185. Bresky plus 550. So I look at this fight very similar to that Usman Peterson fight of last week. Heavyweights, both fights were expected to go the distance. And then one side it looks like is more likely to wrestle. I thought it was Peterson last week. I think it's Parkin this week. But, I mean, we're hoping he does. Like, Parkin has shown wrestling prior to the UFC Contender Series, got his first-round submission. But he's been fine just staying on the feet, striking at range with guys. I think he probably can beat Bresky that way. But if he does, this fight is not going to score. I prefer the Parkin side because he'll be low owned. And if there is someone to get takedowns, I think it'd be clear as day. Bresky been taken down. Like Carl Williams absolutely put a pace on him. I'll have some Parkin. Like I prefer Parkin to Bannon, who we just talked about. But relative to others in the upper tier, I really don't like Parkin much. I don't like Bresky much. This isn't a fight I'm going to have a lot of. Again, compared to that Usman Peterson fight a lot as of last week. What do you see?
Yeah, I do like Parkin in the matchup. I think on the feet, maybe it could be close, like volume-wise, but I'm just more impressed with Parkin's overall technique and skills. I don't think he's got a lot of power behind his punches, but they are heavyweights, so it could definitely be a knockout in any round. He doesn't slow down much as the fight moves along either. But I think for Parkin to put up a big score, which he could do, I think he's going to have to wrestle in order to do that. But I think he's in play for a knockout. I think he's in play for some ground and pound finish. I think he's in play for a 3-round wrestling and grappling clinic too. So I do think Parkin can put up a big score. I just don't think it's likely. I think that the fight probably stays on the feet more than we would like. And that is what puts Bresky in play. Bresky could win with okay volume, maybe score around 10x. He's a big boy too. Maybe he can get the knockout. But I just think that Parkin at low ownership is what really interests me because I think he does have a black belt, and for him to look like a minus, what's he at now?
340.
Minus 345 favorite. Like you got to take the fight to the ground. So I'm almost expecting him to do that at some point. And if he does, I could see him finishing the fight or just hanging out in top control for the rest of the round or all 3 rounds if that's what he wants to do at the start of the fight. So for the ownership, for the possible upside, I'll play some Parkin. But if you told me to give an actual projection on what he's going to score, I would think that he stays on the feet for 10 minutes and he probably puts up like 76 points. And I mean, that's not going to cut it. So if you want to fade it, I think it's fine. But the ownership is going to talk me into some Parkin.
Yeah, you and I see it the same way.
Some Bresky as well. I just like other underdogs more on the card. I'm not going to X out Bresky, but I'm also not going to get more than like 20%.
Right now I'm Xing out Bresky. Maybe I'll change that. Maybe I'll go like X out Bannon, go Bresky. But regardless, I know Parkin's so this line open minus 225, now minus 345. So money's came in on Parkin. Tom Aspinall's training partner, so that's not too surprising. But the reason, so 14 fights and 2 5-rounders. Right away, I'm telling myself I want 100 plus from every single fighter. Now I'm fine with like some dogs. It is pretty top heavy. Where like if a dog gets 80 for 7,300, I'd be very happy with that. I'd get overweight to that. But at least the favorites, I know I want big scores. Even underdogs, I'm thinking at least 1 or 2 probably put up 90 plus. And it is heavyweight, so anything can happen. But plus 550 is not a good inside the distance prop for Bresky. I don't think he has wrestling upside. It feels like a close decision by striking is how he wins. And he's in enemy territory, so it feels tough to even get that. Parkin, my preferred side. Not like Molly Mccan, I prefer. Patterson, I prefer. Aspinall, I prefer. Leon, like all of that. But ownership will also always go to them over Parkin. And there is some wrestling takedown upside. And I mean, plus 175 inside the distance really isn't bad. So I will be having some Parkin as well to differentiate. Then you can play Aspinall, can play Bilal, Leon. You can eat more chalk when you do play someone like Parkin. Let's keep it rolling. Plenty to talk about. Sam Patterson, Kiefer Crosby up next, 9,300. Patterson, 6,900 is Kiefer Crosby. We have Patterson, the second biggest favorite. No, the biggest favorite on the card right now, minus 435. Kiefer Crosby plus 335. This fight is the second most likely to finish behind Aspinall Blaydes at minus 600. Patterson minus 225 inside the distance. Crosby plus 325. Round one prop. Patterson plus 130. Crosby plus 450. I mean, you just look at those props right now, Big Marley. That's a load up fight. Winner should score well. Obviously, pricing very different. Ownership, I'll say ownership in this fight. Right now, we have Patterson 36%, Crosby 11%. I'll just say, I mean, Crosby with all those props and the leverage and all of that, I get he's the biggest dog, but if he wins, he breaks the slate, I'm going to be playing Crosby, but I will play Patterson too. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think this is one of the best fights on the card to target. If Crosby wins, he's breaking the slate at 6,900 because I think his real only path to victory would be a first-round knockout, possibly a second-round knockout, because he does come out aggressive, throwing bombs, and we have seen Patterson flatline before. He's kind of got that tall man defense, so it wouldn't shock me at all to see Crosby just spark him, maybe even a quick win bonus, and then you're done if you don't have him. But I do think that there's two underdogs on this slate who could just absolutely break the slate, have some of the highest ceilings on the whole card, and Crosby is one of them. But if he doesn't get that knockout in like the first 6-7 minutes, I just think that Patterson is the better striker for the course of 15 minutes. And if Patterson gets a takedown, I just think it's a wrap for Crosby. I just don't think Crosby has anything for Patterson on the ground. Patterson could get a first-round submission. He had, I want to say 98 in his last fight where he did have a first-round submission. I think that's in play, but I also think he has a higher ceiling by racking up a couple more takedowns, spending more time in top control. Maybe he gets the submission in the 4th minute of the first round, puts up 110, 115 points. So I definitely prefer Patterson because that's the more likely outcome. But yeah, man, 6,900 for somebody who can break the slate. I got to sign up for Crosby. I'll be fine doubling the field on Crosby. And then Patterson, somebody who would be closer to like a core play or something who I want in 40% or more of my lineups.
I'm with you. I think Saded Patterson by first round submission on the feet. It's scarier. Like what you were talking about, what Siggy's talking about. Ashton Moose comes up, absolutely flatlines them in London. So maybe he's having some nightmares back there. But that was at 155. 6'3", like he was huge, coming up to 170. Still got to work on the striking defense, but man, volume's there. He's skilled. Like I think he's better than Crosby wherever the fight goes. But if it's a firefight, it's on the feet. Patterson's chin, Crosby can hit. That's the scary part. But yeah, the longer the fight goes, it's Patterson. Like I think Patterson probably puts up 105, 110 here, and I'll have a lot. But Crosby at 11%, just the props and the leverage. Like I think he gets dusted and scores 10. But we talk about it a lot on this show. It's not necessarily what we think. We play ownership. We play numbers. Check out the education video we have. MMA education video was released 2 days ago. Definitely check that out. You hear more some of the differences, Big Marley and myself. I look at numbers, ownership a little more than that. Big Marley goes with I know ball, his feel. He looks at that a little bit as well. But definitely check out that video. I'll have a lot of this fight. Sam Patterson, first round sub for me. Let's keep it going. Next fight, absolute banger. And when I say banger, I don't know if it's the most entertaining. It could be, but just name value. Muhammad Mckell, Manel Kape, bad blood in this one. It looks like should be fun. 8,400 Mckell, 7,800 is Kape. Minus what do we got? 159 for Mckell, plus 139 for Kape. So it's plus 140 to finish. The underdog in Kape, better inside the distance prop at plus 285. Mckell plus 320. So I'm going to say this ownership, Big Marley, because I was surprised. Mckell 25%, Kape 19. If you're telling me Mckell's only 25%, like I have to play it. He's 6 of his 7 wins. He scored over 5 of 6 wins. He scored over 99 or higher. the last one against Alex Perez, he did only score 74, and it was the biggest step up in competition. I do think this matchup is more similar to the Perez one. 77% takedown defense for Kopp, good wrestler himself. But, I mean, Mckayev's going to have to wrestle every second of this fight. He doesn't want to stand. He averages, 5.75 takedowns. Like, he chains them, control time. He's a DFS monster. 25%, if that's true, I definitely need to get overweight. And then I thought it was going to be something like 36% to like 16% Mckayeve Kopp. And in that case, and I had some interest in Kopp, but I still didn't love Kopp because a third round knockout might be dust. Like, he's going to fight out takedowns constantly. He can knock him out at any time, but this fight's favored to go over. It's favored to go the distance. I mean, Kopp's not getting there, I don't think, in a decision. So, yeah, I guess talk a little bit about your thoughts on that ownership, because that, if so, like Mckayeve in the high 20s, I'm in.
I did start both of them a little bit higher, but with 14 fights, I ended up having to go down on a lot of these fighters' ownership, and this was just one of them. But from what I've listened to this week, it just feels like everybody can't wait to fade Mckayeve. It's like everyone on Twitter's picking Kopp, but the line is going the other way. And that's always when I like to lean with the line, to be honest with you. So I do like Mckayeve in this one because he should not be looking to strike at all in this whole matchup. He should be looking for double legs in the first 20 seconds of this fight. And if he fails, he needs to shoot for another one. Because if this fight's on the feet, it's going to be one-way traffic for Kopp. And I think that the knockout is live really in any round for Kopp. Some books even have him having a better inside the distance line. And that just wouldn't shock me to see him either pick apart Mckayeve on the feet or pick him apart in route to a knockout, which he could put up 100+ points. But I just like to take those grapplers who can wrestle hard for 15 full minutes, and he could shoot for 20 takedowns in this matchup. And if he is shooting for 20 takedowns, I feel good about him getting about 5 of them at least. So yeah, Mckayeve is my preferred play in this fight. I will get Kopp exposure. I don't want to be too far under the field. Let's say he's going to be 20%. I don't want to be 10 or less. I probably want to be closer to like 15 if I'm going to be underweight, but I'd also be fine going up to 25 or something like that on him, because Mckayeve is somebody who I do plan on having leverage on. In his first 5 wins that you mentioned, he averaged 114 DraftKings points in those wins. Like, that's somebody who I like to target at all times. And this is somebody who needs to be wrestling in this matchup. And if he does it, he's going to score well in a win. So give me Mckayeve. I think he'll do that. And I think he'll win possibly all 3 rounds. But if not, give me him winning 2 rounds, and he might still be able to get there.
Yeah, you and I see it the same way. It really comes down to, like, if he was 35%, I mean, I'm still playing him regardless of what the ownership is, because nobody in that price range really has the upside he has. Like, he has the most, you can argue, the most upside on the slate. Now, the matchup is definitely more difficult for him to get the 130 plus or whatever, but his style, like we keep talking about, so good for DFS. Decision, submission, like, I mean, plus 325 isn't that bad inside the distance either. So Mckayeve, my preferred play, your preferred play. Wouldn't be surprised if ownership was a little more spread out or was a little more wide than that, but I think it should be, rightfully so. I think 25-19, Mckayeve is the clear play there. Keep it rolling. Next fight. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out live. Someone asked, is this live? Yes, it is. New time. Todd's in here. What's going on? Eric Garcia, appreciate the words. G. Kiefer, hope you're doing well. Next fight should also be a pretty good one here. Preston Parsons, Oban Elliott. We have Parsons at 8,600, Elliott 7,600, minus 145 for Parsons, plus 125 for Elliott. This fight's minus 115 to finish. Parsons plus 180, Elliott plus 325. One thing I'll mention before I throw it to you, this fight's inside the distance prop opened plus 120. Got all the way down to minus 125 this morning, and then some money has came back in on the over, now minus 115. Take this fight away. I think a pretty good one to target. What's up, Lay the House? Hope you're doing well.
What's happening? Yeah, I agree. I like this fight. But I am going to be more so on the Parsons side, especially for DraftKings, because he is somebody who's looking to wrestle quite often. He will go out there and strike, but he landed 7 takedowns in his last matchup, and that was against Semelsberger, who's not a scrub. And then his win before that was against Evan Elder, who I think just broke the slate recently. He had 108 DraftKings points against Elder. He landed 4 takedowns in that matchup. He even landed 3 takedowns against Giles in a loss. I just think that that's going to be his style moving forward. And if he wins fights, he's going to score 80 to 120 like every single time. And I think this is kind of similar. I mean, I would give Elliott the overall striking edge, but I don't know that he has the greatest chin. I don't know that he would destroy Parsons. I think Parsons could hang in there on the feet. But Elliott was taken down twice by Val Woodburn, and he was reversed once by Woodburn as well, somebody who has nothing off of his back. So I just think that the style of Parsons is going to give him troubles, and Parsons has one of the higher ceilings on the slate with his takedown ability, because he could get 8 takedowns in this fight, spend 10 minutes in top control, and he's pretty active along the way as well. So I like Parsons. I expect him to pay off the $8,600 if he does win. And I probably go overweight to Parsons. But on the other end, I do want Elliott exposure too. More of a hedge, but I'll probably be around field weight on him just so I don't get burned. But since I'm picking him to lose, I don't want to get too much leverage on him, because I do still like other underdogs more on the card. But Elliott can mix in wrestling. He can get a knockout. He can be pretty active on the feet. He scored well against Woodburn. He had 102 points. I don't really see him having 100-plus upside in this fight. But at 7,600, I don't know that we need it. I think he could put up 85-plus, and that probably could get the job done. So I'll get some exposure to him, but give me those high-paced wrestlers, and that's Parsons.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. 4.3 takedowns per 15 minutes for Parsons. Both UFC wins scored over 100. I mean, Oban Elliott, he looked so. That was the card. California, Rio and I were right there. Elliott was like one of the biggest favorites on the card. Man, it was like he didn't look good. Val was so tired. It was literally, it seemed like 2 minutes into the fight. Took it on short notice. I mean, Oban made that sweaty, way too sweaty. He got cracked early. He relied on his control time against the fence, takedowns, but I wasn't very impressed. However, UFC debut, 26 years old. I'm expecting improvement. So I totally agree with you. I'm on Parsons' side. Prefer him in DFS. Plenty of upside, but 7,600 fights expected to finish. He has some wrestling, some striking as well. It's MMA. Parsons could have an off day, not feel good. Oban, great training camp, still young, getting better, goes and he sparks some. I wouldn't be surprised, but Parsons, my preferred side as well. We'll keep it going. As you could probably see, the voice and the stuffiness not doing too well right now. Next fight on the card, very easy for me. Bukauskas and Marcin Prachnio. Bukauskas we have at minus, man, they're moving this order around. Minus 146. Prachnio plus 126. This fight's plus 120 to finish. Bukauskas plus 240. Prachnio plus 325. I'm fading this fight in 20 and below. Plus 120 to finish isn't crazy, but like is solid, I guess. Both individual inside the distance props, solid, but they need a first or second round knockout, I would think, for someone to be optimal. Neither has wrestling upside. Prachnio, solid volume, but he just plays pitter-patter on the outside. I think Bukauskas will fade right into that game plan. 15 minutes, patty cake back and forth. Winner scores 70. Move on. Enjoy the day. So, yeah, I got nothing for this one in 20 and below.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think this is my second least favorite fight on the card to target. Bukauskas, I mean, they're both in play for a knockout. Both of them have been TKO'd 4 times in their careers, and they both are big boys. They have a little bit of power. So I don't know that I'm going to completely fade this fight just because they should be low owned, and they do have 100-point upside. But I would prefer to get like 10% or so if I'm going to use either side, but especially Bukauskas. He's my more likely fade because the only way he hits 100 points is a first-round knockout. If he's not getting a first-round knockout, he's not getting 100 points. And he's probably still not even getting 10x if he gets a second-round knockout. I mean, maybe with the knockdown he could get there. But this is a guy who scored 56 and 52 in his last wins. I mean, that's just the style he has. He's not going to be landing any takedowns. He's not high volume. And if he's not testing Prachnio's weak chin, he's not going to score well. He's more in play for 56 than he is for 85 in a decision. And then on the other end, I do like Prachnio as an underdog. I think that this is another fight that could be a pick'em fight. And if they're going to just sit on the outside and throw jabs at each other, the judges aren't going to have any idea who's going to win that fight. And it's going to be easier for Prachnio to pay off a $7,700 price tag. I also don't think he's hitting 10X either, so I don't love him, but he is an underdog that I'm going to pick to win. So I'll get more exposure to the Prachnio side. But if like for some reason ownership climbs on him, then I'll go less. So like the lower ownership stays, that keeps me interested. But if the field's going to like him too, then I'm off of it. I just don't really care about this fight either. I think most likely the winner's going to score 60 points, and we don't care who it is because that's not going to be on the optimal lineup. But give me Prachnio to pull off the split decision win.
60 points. That's what I'm cheering for. Nothing for me in 20 and below. Prachnio would be my preferred side. With you as well, though. Keep it rolling. 14 to talk about. Plenty left. Colin Lauphren taking on Jake Hadley. Minus 210 is Lauphren. Plus 180 is Hadley. This fight is expected to go the distance. Plus 170 to finish. Lauphren plus 275 inside the distance. Hadley plus 450. Throw it right to you in this one. What do you see?
Yeah, Hadley took this fight on short notice, up a weight class, I believe.
Correct. Yep.
And was he finishing his? No, he wasn't finished. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's coming off a loss, 2 losses in a row. Now on short notice, up a weight class. I just haven't seen enough from him to really have any faith in him. I think the only edge he has in this fight would be grappling, but he just doesn't have the wrestling to dictate where this fight's going to take place. And I feel like Lauphen's the better wrestler overall. He's going to be the bigger, stronger guy. So if he wants to keep the fight on the feet, I feel like Hadley's going to accept that and just strike with this guy. And I don't think Hadley's going to win a striking match. I don't think he has any real ceiling on the feet. I doubt he's knocking out Lauphren. And if there is a knockout in this fight, I think it's Lauphren knocking out Hadley. Lauphren does have power. He is a high-volume striker. He can mix in takedowns. So I don't want to get too much exposure to Hadley. I don't know that I'm going to X him out, but I'm thinking about it. And then on the other end, Lauphren, I don't think he'll get too owned on this card. I do think he has 100-point ceiling. So I'll keep him in the player pool. But the way I have it, I don't know that I want to get too much leverage over my projected ownership because I feel like it's already up there high enough. I could see me just matching the field, something like that around him, because I do prefer a guy like Mckell who doesn't need a knockout to score 120 points. So I'll get exposure to him, but probably 20% range.
Do you think like 4+ takedowns, control time are in play in this one? I mean, he's definitely the much more physical fighter. Like, I think he can like drag him against the fence, control him. If he's on top, probably control him there. But do you think he mainly keeps it on the feet?
Yeah, I think it's in play if he wanted it to be in play. But if he's having a clear striking edge on the feet, like why even go to the ground against somebody who wants to be on the ground? I think he'll probably want to keep it on the feet. The crowd's going to be hyped in this one, so I feel like he's going to be shooting for the knockout, trying to get a performance bonus.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the thing is, like Lauphren right there, 100 below Leon. Parsons, 200 below. Mckell's right there. You could definitely build. We'll get to the main event and stuff, but definitely build teams, plug in Leon, and then take Leon out, leave a little bit of salary with those guys, and not play Bilal or Leon. Hope for a Leon or a decision win or whatever. Parsons can definitely outscore him. Lauphren can definitely outscore him. So little things like that I will be looking to do. And then you can play Aspinall. You can play whatever you want after that as well. So I'll be looking to use Lauphren in those. I think he can't outscore Leon, but I do prefer Parsons. Like, you tell me they both win. Parsons wrestling, really, like, he will wrestle.
Yeah, I actually prefer Lauphren more than Leon, spoiler alert, but I do like Parsons and Mckell more than him, and they're both cheaper. So that's why I feel like I'm kind of capped on how much Lauphren I can get. But shit, if I get 35% on the Shiptimizer, if it lets me get to 40%, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. Keep it rolling. Women's, man, this crowd will be going crazy for this one. Meatball and Molly McCann taking on Brunette, Brazil. Molly McCann, a big favorite, 9,200. Brazil, 7K. McCann, minus 335. Brazil, plus 275. This fight's plus 105 to finish. Most of the finishing equity, on the Mccan side, plus 150. Brazil plus 550. I mean, it just feels like the UFC wants Marley to win at home. Really doesn't feel like a rocket scientist needs to figure that one out. Now, my question to you, Big Marley, I mean, she can do it. She has so many paths to the optimal. Like, the thing is, good luck picking the upper tier who's going to be on the optimal. Aspinall, Patterson, Molly McCann, Nathaniel Wood. Then you can still consider like Parsons, Lauphren, Leon if you want to as well. I think that's where the card's won or lost. Like 100 might not be enough for Molly, but she has plenty of ways to get there. Good volume. I think takedowns could be free here. Submission on the table as well. Yeah, I like Molly a lot. And you can definitely, like Nathaniel Wood at 9,500. Leave 300, take him out, go Molly. I mean, very, very similar plays in my opinion. Brazil, I'm keeping in the pool because, I mean, it's women's MMA. Like, how many times do you just see, like, random shit happen? Like, that's really my only logic to keep her there. And Molly will push a high pace where if she somehow does win, I think she scores okay. But I don't know, man. Tall task, especially getting a decision, which feels like her best chance against Molly. In enemy territory, that would be pretty dominant decision, I think. So, yeah, Molly, definitely my preferred side. I like her.
Absolutely. I like Molly quite a bit. I'm going to X out Brazil in this one. The only way Brazil wins this fight is that this fight stays at range and they're both low volume strikers, and Brazil.
Even then, I don't think how does she get it?
Yeah, exactly. In England, yeah, it's just not going to happen. So I'm Xing her out mainly because I like Ardelene in that first matchup. I think she's in play. But, I mean, maybe a head kick for Brazil, but Molly's not out there getting knocked out. She's out there getting out grappled, and I don't think that's in play for Brazil here. I think if there is a grappler in this fight, it's Molly. If there is a high-volume striker in this fight, it's Molly. If there's somebody who's pushing a pace, it's all Molly. So, yeah, I think 9,200 is very in play. Actually, in her wins, she averages 103 DraftKings points in her wins, and she has 120-point upside here. If she wants to mix in takedowns, the way I'm picking her to win is by TKO, whether it be on the feet or a ground and pound stoppage. But yeah, I think she's going to be fired up from this crowd, and she's going to be pushing the pace from the opening bell. So I like Molly quite a bit. I think even if it does go to a decision, she can win all 3 rounds, still put up 100+ points. So I'll be getting a good amount of exposure to Molly. But you mentioned all those other people in the top range. I want exposure to all of them. So I don't know how much Molly I can get, but I feel like since I like her a lot, that's another reason I'm kind of capped on my Lauphren exposure. But it's a good MME card because I just want to let the Shiptomizer decide for me. These are the people I like. How much can I get of them?
The more fights there are, the better MME card it is because ownership is more spread out. 14 fights. I mean, pre-COVID, Big Marley, you remember you were still in the streets back in the day like I was. It was like 14, 15 every week. There was no such thing as weight misses and stuff, people pulling out. Whole different world since then. And now 12 is the norm, which is sad because this used to be the norm. But add in the 2 5-round fights as well and a case to be made that you could fade one of them and one of them's getting all the ownership. I mean, it's a nut DFS card for sure. And we'll get to like Aspinall, but Aspinall can score 105 and that not get be enough because of Molly, Patterson, Wood we're going to talk about. So this is really, really a good MME card for sure. I'm always MME over single entry personally. Have a goal. We talk about it in the education video a lot. Can't find a better MME card this one. 80,000 people in that $3 contest. Big boy prize pools out there. Keep it rolling. I mentioned Nathaniel Wood in a big favorite. No better segue. Nathaniel Wood, the highest priced fighter on the card at 9,500. Taking on Daniel Pineda. Wood -400. Pineda +300. -200 for this fight to finish. Wood -115. Pineda +400. So Wood will be lower owned, and we have it this way, of Molly, Patterson, Leon, Aspinall, because he's the highest priced and not even the biggest favorite anymore. And everyone will go Aspinall or save a little bit, which makes me like Wood. And then you dig into it more. I mean, Wood's a great DFS guy. 5.91 significant strikes per minute, 1.74 takedowns per 15. Then you dig deeper. Pineda is kind of like a round 1 or bust type of guy at this point in his career. all of his finishes are all of his wins are by finish, which is absolutely insane. He's been around the block for a while. But man, Pineda's live in round 1, so I'll play some, and Wood is hittable. Longer the fight goes, though, Wood can pour it on him, and there could be volume for days, takedowns for days. Points can add up in bunches here, especially if Pineda gasses. I'll be playing Wood, no doubt about that, and I like where the ownership's at.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that there's 2 cheap underdogs on this card who could just break the slate.
Crosby,
I forgot about
Pineda.
Pineda. He's actually one of them. So there's 3 because Pineda averages 111 DraftKings points in his wins. He's going out there. He's going to look to wrestle, and he's going to look to get a submission early in the fight. And if he does have any edge in this fight, it's going to be his wrestling and grappling in round 1. He should just be the bigger fighter. He's pretty aggressive early, but he's going to slow down if that's his game plan and it doesn't work out for him. And he's not going to be able to strike with Wood. Wood is just too good on the feet. Maybe he could land a big shot. Wood's been chinned a few times, but he fights through it. And I just feel like Pineda's not going to knock him out on the feet. If this fight is on the feet, it's Wood all day long. And Wood can put up volume. Wood can mix in takedowns. I think after the first round, Wood is now the better wrestler. But I don't really see him submitting Pineda unless Pineda gasses, and then Wood gets him down in the second or third round, finishes him on the ground then. But my worry with Wood at 9,500 is that he does drop the first round. Then it's really going to be hard to pay off that $9,500 price and beat every one of these other big favorites that we like on the card. So I kind of think ownership looks about right to me. The other ones I do think have more likely high ceilings. But man, I'm a big fan of Nathaniel Wood. I love this kid's game, so I'll for sure be getting exposure to him. I just don't know how much leverage I can get because I would prefer to drop $300 to a Molly Mccan because I feel like in a decision, Molly's putting up 100 plus. I don't know that Wood's going to get there in 100 plus because I think he probably wants to keep the fight on the feet. And if he's not getting the knockout or takedowns along the way, I just don't think volume will be high enough to pay that off. So I'll probably get it in 20 to 20 range or so on Wood, but that's where I think the field's going to be as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think takedowns are more in play like second, third round. If Pineda's just gas and like there's no threat for a submission on bottom and ground and pound there. And I'm hoping round 1, Pineda's so live. I'm hoping he does push the pace where if he does drop it, Wood still landed 20 significant strikes, started taking over later in that round and stuff like that. I'm just hoping Pineda starts hot. He breaks the slate. I'll definitely have some. Otherwise, Wood puts on volume and pace for days. And again, like you don't play Aspinall and you play Wood, like you're going to be different. Assuming you don't play Blaydes or Aspinall, you hope Aspinall wins. And the story you're telling is Wood outscores Aspinall. That's a chance of solo ship instead of split with 15, 20 people or whatever. And I think that's very much in play. A lot of these upper tier guys keep saying it, have plenty upside, and I think that is what the slate comes down to at the end of the day. Which high-priced guys, 100 might not be enough. Which ones score 120 plus? And I do think Wood has that potential. I don't think, I'd say that, I don't even know if I want to lead like that. So let me just refresh. Now, next fight on the card, Arnold Allen, Giga Chikadze, 9K Allen, 7,200 is Giga. Allen, minus 220, Giga plus 185. This fight's plus 160 to finish. Allen plus 260, Giga plus 450. So you probably knew where I was going to go with that. I don't have interest in this fight. I'm fading it in 20 and below. But I definitely don't want to jinx myself saying the words I was about to say, saying that this one doesn't have the upside like the last one. But unless you tell me right now you think Arnold Allen's going to put on the wrestling shoes for 15 minutes and possibly finish down there, like I think that's what he needs, and very well could. Like Giga, everyone knows, a great striker, the Giga kick. Arnold Allen, well-rounded. Both guys relatively low volume, though. We haven't seen Allen just go out and purely put on the wrestling shoes. The range he's in, like, man, 9,100. I much prefer Molly and everyone, or 9K, excuse me. Much prefer Molly and all them above. I prefer Parsons, Mckell, Lauphren, Leon. I don't know. Talk to me. Unless you think he puts on the wrestling shoes, I don't like this fight.
Yeah, I mean, if I was his coach, that's what I'd be telling him to do. Just from the opening bell, go out there, start landing takedowns, keep Giga wondering what's next, and also just take that early power away from Giga. Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't do it enough. He's just also probably wouldn't strike enough on the ground either. It'd be more looking to advance position, maybe find a submission along the way. So he absolutely has to get either a first round knockout or wrestle all 3 rounds for him to pay off that price tag. I don't really like him, but I do like that the field doesn't like him either. So he's like an ownership type of play for me. Him and Mick Parkin are my pay ups to get different on this card. But it's the same thing for as the Parkin fight. I think his most likely outcome is that he's going to win and score in the 70s, which isn't going to cut it. But everyone else is going Aspinall, McCann, Patterson, Edwards. I'll mix in some Allen to get a little bit different from those types of lineups because I do think he could put up 90 plus. And if he's smart, man, he should go out there, wrestle every round. And if that's the case, I think 90's in play. But I'm going to be definitely capped on my ownership because of his price, because of all the people I like around him. But he's somebody I could see me being around field weight on.
Yeah, you made it easy for me when you was chirping Bannon early, saying you had no interest there. I know I don't like Arnold Allen here. I'm making the top range easy. Fading Allen at 20 below, fading Bannon, capping Parkin's ownership, but he will be the one I use to get different. Then I'll roll everyone else above there, mix and match. Because there's still plenty fighters. That's like still 7 or 8 fighters I'm playing above 8,600. So it's not like I'm making crazy stands, but at least 2 fades and cap and Parkin, I think, is where I want to go. Just feels clear where the 110 plus point upside fights are, but it is MMA. Crazy stuff happens, random stuff happens. So do know that, and embracing lower owned fights can get you all the cheese up top.
Yeah, I got a crazier fade later, so that's why I'll get a little out.
It's going to be Leon, I think, but let's keep it going. Couple fights left. Christian Leroy Duncan, Gregory Rodriguez, 8,300. Leroy Duncan, Gregory Rodriguez, 7,900. We have minus 135 for CLD, plus 115 for Rodriguez, minus 260 for this fight to finish. CLD plus 125, Rodriguez plus 185. I have Leroy Duncan by either KO or decision. I just don't think you can trust Rodriguez to put on the wrestling shoes for 15 minutes or really for 5 minutes nowadays. And CLD looks like solid takedown defense. He's athletic, at least a good get-up game. And on the feet, I just think he has more tools. The feints are better, more technical. I think he'll chip away at that leg. But, I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm going to play Gregory Rodriguez too. He has so much power, so tough, and you can always build a lineup, go Leroy Duncan, take Leroy Duncan out, go Rodriguez. You naturally just left over 400 or more. Way to get different there, but I'm on CLD to keep it on the feet. How do you see it?
I'm on the other side, but I do love this fight. I think Duncan is super in play for a first-round knockout. My biggest issue with Rodriguez is his chin, and I think that Duncan could definitely expose that. He's got big-time power. He's probably the better overall striker. But if you told me that Rodriguez was not going to get knocked out, I'm not so sure that Rodriguez couldn't win a striking match over the course of 3 rounds. And Rodriguez is also in play for a knockout of his own. He's got a ton of power on the feet. But this fight just looks like an IQ test for Rodriguez. Don't go out there and strike with a guy with huge power when you got a questionable chin. You are a great wrestler, grappler. Go out there and wrestle this guy. And I feel like he can definitely win the first 2 rounds by just hanging out in top control, doing whatever he wants to do in the first round on the ground. But if he does come in with a wrestling heavy game plan and he doesn't finish, I do expect him to slow down. And then maybe the 3rd round gets a little bit sweaty. But I mean, 7,900, I just don't think that there's any way Rodriguez wins and doesn't pay that off. So I'm going to be heavy on Rodriguez and just hope that he doesn't get sparked early. But if he does get sparked early, I'm still going to be matching the field on Duncan. I think Duncan has 110-point upside, and at 8,300, if he gets a first-round knockout, he's on the optimal lineup. So I'm going to be loading up on this fight. I think I'll have I would guess 3/4 of my lineups have this fight in it. So this is my, I want to say, 2nd or 3rd favorite fight on the card to target. Going to be getting both sides, but give me the underdog to pull it off. And Rodriguez can win by any method where I don't think a submission is in play for Duncan. Duncan has to keep the fight on the feet.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. You feel more confident he's going to wrestle. I think he should wrestle. And then, clear path to a lot of points at 7,900. Like, it's when you playing guys like Mckell and Rodriguez, even though their price isn't way up there, and Parsons, like, you feel better leaving more money on the table. Pineda, Crosby, because in wins, they have 100+ point upside regardless of what their price, money line, anything says. So fighters like that, I'm willing to leave more. If I'm playing like a Sean and Bannon or stuff like that, then those lineups I'm probably going to leave a lot less because you can upgrade the fighters that I think probably outscore them. So little tidbit right there that I think of. Almost there, Big Marley. Getting there. 3 fights left. 3 awesome fights. This one should be fun. The roof is getting torn off the building. It's not Bobby Green anymore. It's King Green. King Green. Bobby Green taking on Patty the Baddie Pimblett. 8,200 green, 8K for Patty. Can't get any closer. Actually, Bobby's taking a little money. -119 for Bobby Green. -101 for Patty. +105 for this fight to finish. The underdog Patty, better inside the distance prop at +165 versus Bobby +470. Excuse me. Obviously, we always know what's going on, Mckell. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, we know Patty clearly has all the plenty of upside. He's another one you could throw in that Gregor Rodriguez, Mckell, whatever. His clear advantage is wrestling, grappling, +165 inside the distance is really good. I don't have to waste much time on him. I'm more wondering Bobby Green. He's got there he's scored over 100 twice in decisions. He lands over 6 significant strikes. Let's say Bobby Green wins a decision. What are the odds you put at him on the optimal? Or let's say the odds that he scores 95+. And then break down your fight. But that's the main question I got in this one.
If he wins
a decision,
he is going to win. What are the odds? I would say like over 40%, maybe between 40 and like 55%.
I like it. That makes me feel good.
So I like this fight a good amount right there in the mid range. Green has crazy volume, and he can put it up for 3 rounds, no problem. He could even mix in a couple takedowns if he wants, but that wouldn't be too smart in this matchup. That is where I like Pimblett. If Pimblett is going to win this fight convincingly, I think it has to come on the ground, and I do think he could mix in multiple takedowns along the way. He's not a very good wrestler, but he's a great grappler, and I think he could control the fight quite a bit on the ground or get a submission or get a ground and pound stoppage, especially over there in England. Even if it's an early stoppage, it would not shock me at all. Like, he's landing shots. The crowd's going crazy. The ref just steps in. Bobby stands up like, what are you doing? Type thing. I could definitely see that happening here. But I just think that their prices put this fight super in play. I'm going to be loading up on both sides. But this is another one where I'm going to take the underdog. I would rather take a grappler over a striker especially when we're talking about DraftKings. So I prefer Pimblett in this fight. But man, it wouldn't shock me at all to see him not be able to get a takedown and Green just pick him apart all 3 rounds, put up 110 points in a decision. So I like both sides. I probably want leverage on both sides. I want to hang out in this mid-range quite a bit on this card. So give me a lot of this fight, but I'll take Pimblett to pull off, I guess, if you want to call it an upset in his home country.
Yeah, I went back and forth. I ended up deciding on Bobby Green stuff and takedowns, probably winning decision. Like, his movement on the feed, his hands so low, helps him stuff takedowns, see the takedowns better. And man, like, the punches just come from everywhere. Like, I think Patty's face at the end of this could be beat up pretty bad. But you tell me Patty wins right now? I think he has a better chance at the optimal than Bobby. But it's, like you said, it's close. Bobby over 6 significant strikes. +470 inside the distance isn't even bad for him. Like, he's death by 1,000 cuts kind of guy, but late second round, third round knockout. If Patty can't get takedowns, not like he's drawing dead. He has power in his hands. He can strike too, but he ain't going to be the minute winner. And he's going to be eating a lot of jabs and stuff from the hip, I think. But Patty could go there, get a quick takedown, and then just go from back to mount to whatever, and then sub him at the end of the day, and you just got 100+ right there. So this is one where if I had 50% Patty, 30 Green, I'm good. Vice versa, I'm good. 30-20, I'm good. I'm not really worried about this fight and whose side I'm higher on. I just know I do want both sides of this fight. 2 fights left. First 5-round fight of the night. The interim heavyweight title, which is bogus. Tom Aspinall deserves the real shot, but Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blaydes, a rematch, if you even want to call that, of 2022. Unfortunately, Tom blew out his knee 15 seconds in the fight, but big favor. Minus 408 for Aspinall, plus 308 for Blaydes, minus 1,000 for this fight to finish. Aspinall minus 350, Blaydes plus 385. My quick thoughts. So I'll say it. We have 48% Aspinall, 24% Blaydes. Maybe it's a hot take by me, but I'm thinking we're somewhere in the ballpark of 60% Aspinall, 20% Blaydes. And if that's the case, I just don't see how Blaydes isn't the game theory, the correct play. In any win for Blaydes, I don't see how he's not optimal. So you get that right there. Aspinall, I don't think the same can be said. I think he can go out there and score 108, 110. And we mentioned it. Patterson, Marley, Wood, whatever, just scores more, and he's priced out. So I'm not making a rule to have 100% of this fight, even though if I did make a rule, it would clearly be this one. But man, there's way more of a chance to get a unique shipper if Blaydes wins than Aspinall wins. I love Aspinall. I'll be playing him in plenty of lineups, but if I think he's going to be like 60% and Blaydes 20, I got to be on the Blaydes side, and I will be. If you do think it's 48-24 like Big Marley has, I think it's the Aspinall side. So that's when the ownership really, really matters. We're talking 12%. That's a lot for DFS for MMA. So yeah, I just gave, I guess, the game theory wise, gun to my head. I'm picking Aspinall by KO, but thankfully there's not a gun to my head. I wrote that in the slate plan too. So take it away.
Yeah, I think Aspinall is the baddest man on the planet. I think he knocks out Blaydes in the first round. But the only way Aspinall scores 120, 125 points is if he knocks him out in the first minute of this fight. But I think we're more likely looking at 105, 110 points from Aspinall in a win. I think he's the most likely fighter on the card to score 100 to 110 points. But Blaydes has the highest ceiling on the entire card. Blaydes could score 160 points in a win. If his chin can survive, or not even if his chin can survive, if he can go out there and wrestle in the first round, who knows? We don't know what Aspinall is going to look like if this fight gets extended.
He was slowing down. He was slowing down against Arlovsky a little bit. Like that was the one fight he got extended a bit. And I mean, he finally got to a point where he just grabbed his neck and did it, but he slowed down a little bit in that fight.
Yeah, and I feel like if Aspinall doesn't get a first or second round knockout, I mean, Blaydes probably going to win the fight. You just go out there and wrestle this guy, but he could wrestle all 5 rounds and score 180 points, where 180 points isn't even in play, I don't think, for anybody else on the entire card. But Blaydes has just cost me.
I guess,
yeah. I mean, we'll probably not
in this best scenario fight. Yeah, probably
maybe.
No.
But yeah, Blaydes has just cost me so much relying on him to go out there and be smart and go wrestle somebody who you shouldn't be striking against. And I just can't trust him to go out there and do that anymore, especially against the scariest heavyweight out there. And I feel like in the first round, Aspinall can stuff takedowns and just really light Blaydes up on the feet. It's after the first round that I would be worried about Aspinall. But I mean, I have to get a lot of Blaydes because of that high ceiling. But Aspinall is somebody who I want like 50%. Aspinall, maybe more. He's my favorite click on the card. But I also think you can get different, like he can go out there, score 105 points, but then you get Patterson to score 110, Marley to score 115, Parsons to score 110, Mckell to score 110. I just think that you can avoid this fight and hope Aspinall scores 105 points and just doesn't make it on there. So I'll definitely have lineups like that too. Off the top of my head, I would say that I'm right around ownership. 50% Aspinall, 25% Blaydes, 25% fade, something like that. Haven't built lineups yet, but that's kind of how I see it going for me. But yeah, I like Aspinall to knock him out in the first round.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that I'll probably be more overweight Blaydes than Aspinall. And if I think it's 60-20, it might even be higher. It might be like 60-25, something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm overweight on the fight fades. I'm probably overweight Blaydes. I'm probably underweight Aspinall. But if you tell me right now, 48% Aspinall, I probably still wouldn't lock him. But I think it's a lot easier to get over. Like 48 compared to 60 is night and day difference. Is kind of where I'm what I'm trying to say. I think you guys should make your guess on ownership and from there decide what you're going to do. But I'm definitely not fading Aspinall by any means. I just think the ownership gap will be too wide. And last time that these two fought, Blaydes close is a slight favorite. Absolutely crazy to think. Now, yes, since then, Blaydes hasn't looked the best. Aspinall's looked like a world killer, but I do think the line is a little inflated with just how good he's looked. So, fun fight, no doubt about that. The most likely to finish on the card. Last fight of the night, main event time. And Big Marley has not told us who his fate is yet. So, maybe Bilal, maybe Leon. Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad. Another rematch from, I believe, 2021. It was Apex. Eye poke by Leon in the second round. Bilal couldn't continue. It was a bad eye poke. The fight was pretty boring, but Leon was kicking his. I mean, he outstruck him 19-8. Leon was doing whatever he wanted. It was on pace to be a pretty boring, low-scoring DFS fight. But yeah, a lot has happened since then. Bilal, he hasn't lost in like nine wins in a row, training with Habib and the guys. You know he wants to wrestle. But I'm jumping all over the place. Minus 250 Leon, plus 210 Bilal, plus 140 for this fight to finish. Leon plus 200, Bilal plus 515. I guess I'll throw it right to you. Which one's the fade? Which one are you playing?
Leon is the fade, but I'm picking him to win the fight. I just don't think that he's paying off his salary. I don't even think he's going to 10x his salary. But I think you're going to need more than 10x at 8,800 with the ownership that he's going to have too. So I'm just going to X him out and hope that he doesn't hit 100 points, which I know he has a quick win bonus. So I'm throwing that out. He's not knocking Bilal out in the first minute. Aside from that, 103 is his highest score. And that's the only time he's hit 100 points. So I just feel like even in his best performance, he's not making the optimal lineup over Aspinall and Mccan and all these other people I just named off in that last fight. So I'm going to X him out, and I'm going to plan on him winning this fight and scoring 75 DraftKings points. But Bilal on the other end, if Bilal wins the fight, which I do think the line is a bit wide, and I think it's wide because the fight's in England now. If this fight was in America, Edwards is probably like minus 160, minus 175, something like that. So I feel like that's our true line. I don't think that Bilal cares where the fight is. He's going to go out there and fight heavy pressure, hope to get some takedowns. But I did bet Bilal in their last matchup, and I was regretting it right away. So like I lucked out by him getting poked in the eye, but I was like, man, I hope he's not blind. Oh man, 'cause that was scary watching that fight. But yeah, I just think that if Bilal is going to win the fight, he is going to score more than 10x, and I think he gets 100 plus more often than Edwards does if they both win 100 times. So I'm more interested in playing Bilal, even though I'm picking him to lose. If I'm going to go overweight, well, obviously to either one, it would be Bilal because I'm going to fade Edwards. I just don't know that I want to get too much Bilal either because he's going to be near 40% owned. So maybe my move is just to get away from this fight. I definitely want Bilal exposure, but I could see me having like 25 to 45% Bilal, anywhere in that range, and then just kind of loading up on those cheap underdogs who could absolutely break the slate. Some of the underdogs I'm picking to win, just these lower owned underdogs overall, because Bilal should be the highest owned underdog on the card, I think. Yeah. So I'll be around field or less on him, and then just planning on Xing out Edwards and loading up on the other top range people that I like instead. But give me Edwards to win 48-47 in his home country, just not score enough.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. Bilal's my preferred play too for a lot. Like, it feels very hard to think of scenarios where Bilal wins and isn't optimal at his price, where the same can't be said about Leon. So I'm going to hope at least one of the main event dogs, the 5-rounders, Blaydes or Bilal wins. More than likely, unless I have Leon and like I'm not full fading. I don't have the stones like Big Marley to full fade Leon in plenty lineups. So unless I have an Aspinall Leon team that could be the nuts, I more than likely probably want one of Bilal or Blaydes. Awesome stuff, Big Marley. That's an hour, 5 minutes, talking 14 fights in London, UFC 304. Going to be an awesome card, and we appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Still a lot of familiar faces at the new time. Appreciate it. Plenty watch on playback. Still appreciate y'all as well. Again, this 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays will be the norm going forward unless we let you know in the Discord prior. Thumbs up, like button always helps us out a ton. And of course, Graf says all you need to say. ShipItNation.com. No better spot to be. No better price. Content in the industry. $299 for our NFL package. Sign up now. The banner's there. You also get all of our content. MLB, MMA, PGA Showdown, NASCAR, Little Neck talking Olympic and Summer League in there. Discord access, Shiptimizer, all of that, as well as college football content, which starts in 1 month. And of course, shout out our partner, Drafters. Head over to drafters.com with Big Marley and I going live in a couple minutes right after this show. Head over to Drafters. Head over to our show. We're going to exit out of this one. We're going to go to the Shippin' Nation one, or the Shippin' Nation YouTube, the best ball stream. We're going to click on that, fire up a live draft. So use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% up to $100, and we will see you in a live draft shortly. Final thoughts, Big Marley.
Nah, man, looking forward to this card. Hopefully it's a banger. Hopefully we get a solo shipper. Good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
Thank you, LSU Life. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you in the draft or streets. For Big Marley, I'm Title Town. Good luck this week and stay safe. Peace.